Hello, dear DSC candidates. Welcome back to my Grammar for Success channel. I am Koresh Babu, a retired lecturer in English from Hyderabad. In today's video, I am going to teach you a very humorous story, Indian Trouble, written by R.K. Narayan. I request all of you to pay a very good attention to this very interesting story till the end without skipping it in the middle. I also request all of you to consider subscribing to my channel and also sharing this video with all your friends that are also going to take the DSC examination along with you. Thank you so much. Now let's get into the video. Since the matter in this video is a little bit lengthy, I would like to straight away get into this video without giving you the details orally. Now let's get into the video. Please pay attention to this Indian Trouble, written by R.K. Narayan. Okay, and first of all, let us learn about the key points about R.K. Narayan. Okay, and here R.K. Narayan, this is the short name for Rasipuram Krishnaswamy Iyer Narayana Swamy. This is a very lengthy name of this writer, and we shortly and sweetly call him R.K. Narayan, and he was born on October 10 and 1906 in Madras. Now we call it Chennai, that is in India. Okay, he is one of the most renowned Indian authors writing in English, and in India there are only a handful of writers that write only in English, just like Mulk Raj Anand, Raja Rao, and Nirasi Chowdhury and Kushwant Singh. Some writers are there, they wrote only in English. So of these renowned Indian writers wrote in English, this is one of them. This is one of the most renowned Indian writers writing in English. So that point is also there. And you go to the next point. Narayan is best known for creating the fictional town of Malgudi. So he is noted for creating a fictional place called Malgudi, and which serves as the setting for most of his novels and short stories. And he has used this Malgudi as a setting for most of his novels and short stories. So this point also is very important. And now let's move on to other important points about this R.K. Narayan. Malgudi is a microcosm. Microcosm means a mini world. Okay, that's the meaning of that, of Indian society. That means, so this Malgudi is a mini world of Indian society where the everyday lives of ordinary people are depicted. So in this Malgudi, the everyday lives of the ordinary people are described with humor and empathy. With humor, you know that where empathy means some kind of concern. Okay, so he has described all these ordinary people with humor and some kind of concern. And here you come to the next point. Narayan is celebrated for his simple yet profound storytelling. So he is very good at telling the stories. So in a he maintains some kind of knack, some kind of skill in telling the stories. So that's why he is celebrated. That means he is well known for his simple yet profound storytelling. So his way of telling the story is very simple, but it is very profound. So it is very meaningful also, right? And here his work is known for its warmth, humor, and keen observations of middle class Indian life. So in almost all his works, what happens, you can find the middle class Indian life, and that he described in his writings with warmth. With warmth means some kind of enthusiasm, some kind of good feeling, and some kind of humor with keen observations. So he observed the middle class Indian people keenly, and whatever he had seen in their lives, he has presented in his writings with humor and with some kind of warmth, right? And here you pay attention. The next point about this writer is, through Malgudi, Narayan explores the lives of a wide array of characters, from schoolboys to teachers to shopkeepers and clerks. So here in this Malgudi, he portrayed the lives of all kinds of people. What is that? From schoolboys and teachers to shopkeepers and clerks, means all kinds of people are portrayed in this Malgudi, and capturing the essence of Indian life with universal appeal. So he has depicted the Indian life, the Indian style of living, so with some kind of universal appeal. So with general appeal. Okay, it's right. And now you move on to other important points about this writer. And next point about this great Indian writer is his major works include, what are his major works? Swami and Friends. So this is also, so this novel is also there in your syllabus. I am also going to give you some brief idea about this novel prescribed for you in the syllabus. Okay, Swami and Friends, this was published in 1935. Okay, and his first novel, this is said to be his first novel. And you go to the next one, The Bachelor of Arts. This was published in 1937. This is yet another very important novel of this writer. And next, The English Teacher. It was published in 1945. These novels are semi-autobiographical. So all these novels are semi-biographical and explore themes of education, love and loss. So all these novels explore what? The themes of education, the themes of love and the themes of loss also. Right. And here another important novel of this great writer is The Guide. It was published in 1958. One of his most famous works which won Sahitya Academy Award. And for this Guide in 1960 or so, he received Sahitya Academy Award and was adapted to a successful film also. And basing on this Guide, a movie was also produced. Okay, and here you go to the other things. R.K. Narayan received numerous accolades. Accolades means awards. So it's yet another interesting word. You please keep this word in your mind. Accolades. Accolades means awards. Okay, for his work, including the Sahitya Academy Award and the Padma Bhushan Award in 1964. That means he wrote this Guide in 1958, but for that novel he received Sahitya Academy Award in 1964 along with the Padma Bhushan. Okay, and the Padma Vibhushan in 2000. Okay, now we have ranges in the Indian awards, supreme awards. What are they? Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan. So he received this Padma Bhushan in 1964. He received Padma Vibhushan in 2000th year. Right. Now you move on to other important points about this great writer. And Narayan's writing is characterized by its simplicity. So his writings are just simple. Anybody can read them and can easily understand them. There is nothing difficult in understanding his writings, his stories, his novels and all that. That means, the style of his writing is just very simple. Okay, and gentle humor. And in all those writings you can find gentle humor. Okay, gentle humor, they will be somewhat, they are filled with some kind of gentle humor. Okay, and focus on the ordinary. So generally his characters in the novels, in the short stories are all ordinary people. He employs all the ordinary characters in his writings. That is the point. And you go to the next point. Is he often explores the themes such as the clash between tradition and modernity. So he also examines what in his writings the theme of tradition and modernity. So the traditions on one side, the modernity on the other side. So there will be some kind of clash. So in the name of traditions, some people hate modernity. In the name of modernity, some people hate the old traditions and all that. So there is always some kind of clash between the traditions and the modernity, and this kind of clash he exposed in all his writings. And next, the complexities of family life, and he also portrayed in his writings the problems of the family life. Okay, in the family life, the families will be facing different problems, So he also portrayed very beautifully and very skillfully all those domestic problems, family problems in his writings. And the ironies of fate. Ironies of fate means, generally he explored only the life of the middle class people, and the middle class people are a bit ambitious. They want this, they want that, they want everything. Okay, and if they get it, they will be happy. If they don't get it, they will become very much disappointed. So that is why, it's a kind of irony. Even for a small thing, they feel extremely happy. That is the nature, that's the mentality, that's the psychology of the middle class people. If they get something little, they feel very happy. Okay, so that is the mentality of the Indian middle class people. Okay, and here the R.K. Narayan remains as one of the most beloved and respected figures in Indian literature. Even today, in the Indian English literature, he remains as one of the most beloved and respected personalities. Okay, and you go to the next point about him. His works continue to be read and cherished by readers all around the globe. So even today in BA literature or in ME English literature, his works are prescribed for study, and therefore students across the world are studying this R.K. Narayan, reading his books. They are also enjoying his short stories and novels and all that across the globe. Across the globe means throughout the world, the readers are finding some kind of pleasure in his writings and all that, embodying the timeless qualities of good storytelling. So everybody likes reading the stories. All his stories are very, very interesting, very, very humorous, and who will get bored of those writings? Everybody becomes interested in reading his writings and all that. So this is, we can learn about this R.K. Narayan very briefly. He passed away on May 13, 2001, leaving behind a rich literary legacy. Leaving behind him a rich literary legacy. Okay, literary works. What happened? He passed away on May 13, 2001. You know that very well, right? And that is all about this great and distinguished literary personality, R.K. Narayan. Now let's move on to learn about a few things about the story also, right? Key points about the story. What are the key points about this humorous story? Let us look at them. Engine Trouble is a humorous short story by R.K. Narayan. So it's a very, very humorous story, okay, set in the fictional town of Malgudi. And this Engine Trouble is also set where in his fictional town, that is Malgudi, which serves as a microcosm of Indian society. And this Malgudi represents what? The microcosm of Indian society, where you can find the lives of all kinds of people, all mentalities of people, all psychologies of people. So all types of people you can find in this Malgudi. So therefore, this Engine Trouble, this humorous story was set in that fictional town, that is Malgudi, or in his imaginary world, that is Malgudi, right? You go to the next point about this story. It is a classic example of R.K. Narayan's storytelling. So now R.K. Narayan tells the stories in such a way that appeals to everyone like anything, in an interesting manner, in an appealing way. He tells the stories. So he knows the very beautiful knack of storytelling. So here this Engine Trouble is a classic example of his Narayan's storytelling, blending humor with deeper commentary on the ironies of fate. So here what happens, he is blending in this story the ironies of fate and also humor. Humor blended with ironies of fate. Okay, so irony of fate means sometimes what happens, people expect something from out of something, but when it turns into something bad and unpleasant, they feel otherwise. That is called the irony of fate. And here you pay attention, the story revolves around the misfortunes of the protagonist who wins a road engine in a lottery but soon finds himself burdened by it. So this is the central theme of this story. The story deals with all misfortunes of the protagonist. Protagonist means the hero of that story. The main character of the story is called the protagonist, you know very well. So he faces so many hardships, so many misfortunes, so many problems with what? With a road engine which he wins in a lottery. What happens? This protagonist wins a road engine in a lottery, and with this road engine he happens to face so many problems, so many misfortunes, and all these misfortunes are humorously portrayed in this beautiful story. That's why this story has become very, very humorous and all that, and basing on this, a movie was also produced in Telugu with Brahmanandam, and I can't just remember the title of that Telugu movie. In that, what happens, that Brahmanandam is the owner of those, the houses. 4 or 5 quarters will be there. For all those houses, he will be the owner. So every time, he comes there and he troubles them and he snatches the things from them, and he keeps all the things in his bag and all that. And now what happened? Naresh was the hero in that film. And all of them devise a plan, and they take out a chit, in that, it is written Sri or something. Whoever gets Sri, that will win some prize, something like that. So what happens, this Brahmananda will get that lottery and everybody will praise him. What is that lottery? What does he win in that? He wins what? A road roller. Okay, that is nothing but engine trouble. Road roller. That road roller he wins. With that road roller, what happens? He faces so many hardships. So, and all those hardships are picturized in a very humorous manner, just as all these problems that protagonist or the hero faces here in this story are also portrayed in a humorous manner. So here, that's why in this story, the misfortunes of the protagonist who wins a road engine is nothing but a road roller, is in a lottery, but soon finds himself burdened by it. Okay, he finds that it has become a big burden on his head. Okay, right. And you go to other important points about this story. And his journey, his means what? His means the protagonist, the hero of the story. His journey from excitement to despair. Whenever he wins that lottery, this man becomes very much excited, and that excitement will turn into despair after some time, and finally to relief, and that despair fortunately will go off after some time, and he will get relief. Is a testament to Narayan's skill in portraying what the complexities of human experience with simplicity and wit. With simplicity and wit, he has portrayed all these feelings of that person, of that hero, very cleverly, very beautifully, very humorously. Okay, and here you pay attention, the protagonist is an ordinary man. You know very well, the hero of this short story is an ordinary man with whose simplicity and lack of resources are central to the point. And he is a simple man, he is an ordinary man, and he has no other, sources of income. He is just an ordinary man. But with the lucky lottery, he faces so many problems. And that's why that story, the whole story looks very funny and humorous and all that. And here you pay attention, his misadventures means his problems with the engine make him a relatable and sympathetic character. The problems the protagonist faces will make him a relatable, understandable and sympathetic character in this story, right? And here the story explores the theme of irony of winning a prize that turns out to be a curse rather than a blessing. Generally, whenever you win something in the lottery, that must be a kind of blessing to you. It must become profitable to you. But here in this story, the prize that a protagonist wins becomes what? A kind of curse on him, a kind of big problem to him. Okay, instead of a blessing. It did not become a blessing to him, but it has become a curse to him. So generally, if anybody wins something in the lottery, that becomes a blessing to him. But here what happened, he has won a beautiful prize, that is, he has won a prize, but that prize, instead of becoming a blessing, has become what? A curse to this hero of this story. Right, you go to the next point. The humor is gentle, and in this story, you can find the humor very gentle. This humor is mixed with the irony, and that's why it's making the story both entertaining and thought-provoking. So here, in this way, this story is blended with humor and irony, and therefore it becomes very entertaining and thought-provoking to all its readers. So here also we are going to learn this story very briefly, and after that we learn other things also about this story. Okay, right. And now let's move on to learn the story. What actually is the story? Just now I have told you about that. If you can watch that film, Telugu movie in which Brahmanandam acted wonderfully well, and all other actors also acted very well, and that was so amusing and so entertaining to the audience, and that was a successful movie because it was produced, I think, by Jandyala. So that was a fantastic Telugu movie, and this whole story is picturized in that Telugu movie. If you can watch that, you can easily understand this story, right? And now let's move on to learn the story. The story, Engine Trouble in a nutshell. In a nutshell means very briefly. I cannot teach you the entire story here because this has to be done in just 45 to 50 minutes only. So it's a video. I cannot teach you all about the story. Therefore, here I am teaching you this story in a nutshell. Now, you look at this story. It is given here in very simple words. You can also read this story and understand it. Okay, and the story begins with the protagonist attending a public exhibition in Malgudi. You know very well, this Malgudi is a fictional town or an imaginary town created by our R.K. Narayan, you know very well. And here this whole story is set in Malgudi only, that also you know very well. So one day what happened, this protagonist means the hero of the story. His name is not mentioned anywhere here. What happened? He attends a public exhibition that was held in that Malgudi. A public exhibition was held in that Malgudi. So he happened to attend that public exhibition, and in that public exhibition what happened? He wins a road engine as a prize in a lottery. In a lottery he wins a road engine as a prize. What is this road engine? It is nothing but a road roller. That is called, here it is mentioned road engine. Road engine means road roller, that we call it. Road engine means road roller. And here that he wins that road roller as a prize in a lottery. That point is clear. The road engine, the road roller, a large one. You know very well how that road roller will be. It will be very large, and also it will be a cumbersome machine. Cumbersome means very heavy. Very large, very heavy machine is of no use to the protagonist. It's of no use to him. It's not a car, it's not a bike, it's not a scooty, it's a road roller. So what happened? No, it is not of any use to him who lives a simple life with limited means. So this protagonist is an ordinary man, a middle class man, and he lives a simple life with limited resources and limited income and means and all that, and that's why this large cumbersome machine becomes no use to him. It's of no use to him, right? And here the protagonist's initial excitement quickly turns into anxiety. At the beginning, this protagonist felt extremely happy. He was very much excited on winning that road engine as a prize. But his excitement, his initial excitement, the beginning excitement quickly turns into anxiety. Why did it turn into anxiety? As he realizes, he understands that he has no practical use for the engine. And he has found out that that engine is of no use to him. He has no practical use for the engine. And that engine, with that engine, no, he doesn't have any use. And he cannot make use of that engine. So that's why what is that? No, he has no practical use for the engine and no means to move or sell it. And he simply that prize is given, but it is there in the exhibition. From that exhibition, he has to take it home, or he has to sell it to somebody else. But here he cannot either take it home or sell it. Okay, that's why no means to move. He has no money to move it to home. Nobody is ready to buy it, because no buyers are there to buy that big road engine. Okay, and therefore no means to move or sell it. That means he is able neither to move it nor to sell it. That is the meaning of this. You go to the next part of the story. The protagonist is advised by various people on what to do with the engine. So in that Malgudi town, what is there? There are varieties of people, all kinds of people, you know that very well. So what did they do? They advised him as to what to do with that engine. Okay, as to what to do with that engine, right? But none of the suggestions are feasible. Feasible means none of the suggestions are possible. Okay, feasible means not practicable. So somebody has asked him to give it on rent to somebody. Somebody has asked him to dispose it of, something like that. Different suggestions were made by the people of that Malgudi. And here none of those suggestions are feasible. And he considers selling the engine. And now what happened, he has come to a conclusion to sell that engine. Now he has come to a firm conclusion to dispose it off, right? But no one is interested in buying such a large and outdated machine. So that was not only a large machine, but it is also an outdated machine, and therefore nobody is interested in buying that useless and outdated machine, right? Now you go to the next paragraph. The engine becomes a burden both financially and physically. Now what happened now? That engine has become a big burden both financially and physically. And as it sits in a public place, and you know very well, it is there in the public place. And what is it doing? Attracting the attention of the townspeople. All are looking at that outdated machine and big engine, and all are looking at that machine and causing him great embarrassment. And that is causing him a lot of embarrassment, because everybody in that town was talking about this protagonist. Oh, protagonist has got this in a lottery. So in that way, everybody was talking about that machine, and it has become a kind of great embarrassment for him. It is embarrassing him. It is confusing him. It has therefore become a great embarrassment for him. And now what happened? You see that the protagonist tries to move the engine out of the public place. He tried his best to move that engine from that public place, because that has become a kind of stumbling block to the people going here and there, because it is on the way. It is on the road. And therefore, it has become a kind of obstruction to the people going here and there. Therefore, what happened now? He wants to move that engine from that place, and his efforts are met with failure. But his efforts to move that engine from its present position to somewhere have failed totally. Okay, all his efforts failed. He hires a group of coolies or laborers to push the engine. First of all, what did he do? He hired some laborers or some coolies to push the engine to the safer place, or to the place where it cannot be a kind of it cannot be an obstruction to the people. It cannot be a kind of stumbling block to the people. Okay, right. But they demanded exorbitant wages. Exorbitant means very high wages. They demanded high wages, and the engine remains stuck, and therefore the engine has remained there itself only. So in that way, this protagonist has failed in his efforts to move that engine from its original place. Okay, he is not able to move it either to his house or to some other place, where it can be there without causing any kind of inconvenience to the people. Okay, now let's move on to the remaining part of the story. He even approaches a local temple elephant to help move the engine. So what did he do? He also tried his best to move that engine to some safer place and all that. For that purpose, he has approached the temple authorities, and to allow that the temple elephant to make this engine move to the other side. So here he even approaches a local temple elephant. He doesn't directly approach the local temple elephant, but he has approached the temple authorities to help him move the engine by sending this temple elephant. Okay, and here, but the elephant refuses to cooperate, and even the elephant also could not move that engine, or it did not even cooperate with that protagonist, and each attempt to move the engine results in a new set of problems. Every time when he tried to move the engine from its original place, okay, and he faced so many problems with that, okay, and including the damage to public property and additional financial losses. So what happened, whenever he tried to move that engine, he faced so many problems, and including some damage to public property and additional financial losses also he faced. How this happened? Let us see that here. What happened? The protagonist's troubles escalate when the engine accidentally rolls down a slope and crashes into a wall, causing significant damage. One day what happened? No, he tried his best with the help of his friends and other people to move that road roller. What happened? This accidentally rolls down the slope and crashes into a wall. And all the people started moving that road roller, and suddenly there was a slope, and that road roller, what happened, moved a little bit faster and out of control. It has gone out of control, and it dashed against the wall of somebody. And now what happened? That is nothing but the public property, damage of the public property. And in that way, this road roller, this road engine has damaged the public property, and for that damage, he had to pay some amount. So therefore, causing significant damage. So this is that. So this is that. And you go to the next paragraph. The local municipality demands compensation for the damages. And since the road roller is put on beside the road, causing inconvenience to the people going here and there, the municipality authorities have also demanded for the losses, damages, demanded for what? The damages, the compensation, the tax and all those things. So here, adding to the protagonist's already mounting troubles. So on one side, the public property was damaged because of this road engine. On the other side, it has become a kind of inconvenience to the people going here and there. Okay. And on the other side, the municipality authorities are demanding for the removal of that engine from that place. Otherwise, he has to pay some taxes or some amount as compensation or something like that. So here, all these things are the local municipality demands compensation. Okay, or the damages adding to the protagonist's already mounting troubles, right? And you go to the last part of the story. The engine, which was supposed to be a prize, turns into a source of financial ruin and public ridicule. And here what happened? The engine, which was supposed to be a prize, okay, this engine is a prize to him. He has won it in a lottery, that very well. And this has turned to this protagonist a source of financial ruin and public ridicule. And it has become a kind of public, it has become to this protagonist as a financial burden. Not only that, it has also become a public ridicule. All the people of that town were laughing at him, because of the problems he is facing with that engine. All the people of that town are laughing at him. All the people are mocking at him, right? Just when the protagonist is at his wit's end, and at his wit's end means he was in a great confused state. He was in a great embarrassment. When he was in that great embarrassment, and he was in a position in which he could not do anything. At that time, what happened now? A showman arrives in Malgudi with a mechanical merry-go-round. In the meanwhile, a showman came to that Malgudi with a big mechanical merry-go-round. Merry-go-round is there. Big giant wheel or merry-go-round is there. That will be going. Big giant wheel is there. So this is called merry-go-round. So the showman has come to that Malgudi with a big mechanical merry-go-round. That is that's a lucky thing for this protagonist. And what happened to this protagonist? Let us see that here. The showman offers to take the engine off the protagonist's hands. And the showman has seen this road roller. And here he took interest in buying that road roller. He wants to take it take it from that protagonist. Okay, the showman offers to take the engine of the protagonist. That means the showman becomes ready to buy that road roller from this protagonist, seeing it as a potential attraction for his show. And that showman has thought it will be a kind of added attraction to his show, because the children will be coming there to enjoy that merry-go-round. And at the same time, if this road roller or this road engine is put in that show, what happens? The children will also enjoy themselves a lot, because either on seeing the road roller, getting over the road roller and all that, the showman has thought that it would definitely bring some added attraction to his show, and therefore he decided to buy this road roller from this protagonist, and feeling very much relieved. Now what happened? Now the protagonist has become very much relieved of that, and what happened? Immediately the protagonist eagerly agrees and finally gets rid of the troublesome engine. And at once what happened? The protagonist, the moment this showman asked him for that road engine, at once, without a moment of hesitation, what happened? He just agreed to dispose it off to him, and in that way he gets rid of the troublesome engine. In that way, finally, this protagonist gets rid of this troublesome engine. He feels very happy. And here you pay attention. Thus, the story explores the irony of winning a prize that turns out to be a curse rather than a blessing. Generally, if anybody wins a lottery, it should become a blessing to him. It should bring him some good luck, and it should bring him happiness and all that. But here, in the case of this protagonist, the lottery he has won has brought him a curse, a big burden, financial burden, and public ridicule. It has brought so many problems to this protagonist. So therefore, this is called the irony of fate. A prize should give him pleasure. A prize should give him happiness. Instead, it has given him unhappiness and displeasure. So this is only called the ironies of fate. Okay, this is all about this story in a nutshell. Hope you have understood this one. You can also read this, and you can also understand the story. Okay, right. And now let's move on to the literary devices that are used in this story. Okay, literary devices employed in the story Engine Trouble. Very simple. The story Engine Trouble employs several literary devices that enhance the humor, irony, and the thematic depth of the story. The writer R.K. Narayan employs certain literary devices in order to enhance the humor of the story, the irony of the story, the thematic depth of the story, right? And here, what are the literary devices used in this story? Some of the key literary devices used in this story are, number one, irony. This is the very first literary device. It's a predominant literary device used in this story. What is this irony? Try to understand this irony. Where is this irony? Okay, the story is filled with situational irony. Situational irony you can find this story. The protagonist wins a road engine in a lottery, okay, which should be a stroke of luck, but it turns out to be a source of endless trouble. Actually, this road engine which the protagonist wins in a lottery must become a stroke of luck to him, but it has become a source of endless trouble. That is only the irony. లాటరీ వల్ల లాభం వస్తుందని మంచి కలుగుతుంది అనుకుంటే దానివల్ల కష్టం కలిగింది, ఇబ్బంది కలిగింది. దట్ ఈస్ ఓన్లీ ద ఐరనీ. That's all the irony. And the irony lies in the fact that something meant to be valuable becomes a burden. Where is the irony? The irony lies in that something meant to be valuable. Actually, the road engine is really a very costly one, a very an expensive one also. But of course, you cannot move it. That's a different matter. Road engine is really a costly one. So it is a valuable thing actually. It's a valuable thing for the road layers and all that, road constructors. That is a valuable thing. And here, though it's a valuable thing, it becomes a burden to this man. but for this man it has become a burden. So that is only the irony. Okay, in this way, this is the situational irony. And you go to the other important literary devices. Humor is there. What is this humor? Narayan uses exaggeration to create humor. So he has used all exaggerations in this story, and in order to create some humor, if something is exaggerated, it gives some kind of humor to you. Okay, and here see, especially in the descriptions of the protagonist's futile attempts to move the engine. Oh, where do you find humor in this story? In the futile efforts of the protagonist who wants to move that engine from its original place to some other place, which is not an inconvenience to others people, right? And here the extreme difficulty of moving the engine and the protagonist's escalating troubles are presented in a way that evoke laughter. So here in this story, what is that? The extreme difficulty of moving the engine. It is not that easy. It's not a small car or any bike or any small thing. It's a heavy object. It's a heavy engine, cumbersome engine, you know that very well. And to move that is very difficult actually. Okay, and the protagonist's escalating problems are presented in a way that evokes laughter. And this protagonist tries his best. He tries all the methods to move that engine from its original place to some other place. So this his attempts, his trials evoke laughter in the readers. His attempts evoke what? Some kind of laughter in the readers. When you start reading the story, you laugh to yourself. You will be laughing loudly. That is the humor you can find in that. Okay, and here the entire situation, the protagonist owning a massive, useless road engine is absurd. So the entire situation itself is an absurd thing. Okay, it's a humorous thing, because in the lottery generally a car is given, or a bike is given, or some necklace is given, some bicycle is given. So some small things are given in a lottery, but giving a road engine in a lottery itself is very absurd, and it is really very humorous. అసలు లాటరీలో రోడ్ ఇంజన్ ఇవ్వడమే చాలా హాస్యాస్పదమైనటువంటి నవ్వు తెప్పించేటటువంటి విషయం. దట్స్ దేర్ ఫర్ ఇట్స్ హ్యూమరస్, రైట్? అండ్ హియర్ అండ్ దిస్ అబ్సర్డిటీ of the source of much of the story's humor. Then this absurdity itself is the source of this humor. ఇందులో హాస్యానికి ఈ యొక్క అబ్సర్డిటీని ఎంతో ప్రధానమైనటువంటి, ఇస్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్, రైట్? అండ్ యూ గో టు ద నెక్స్ట్ literary device. Third one, symbolism is there. The third literary device used in this story, the road engine symbolizes unwanted burdens or problems that appear valuable at first but become a source of distress. And here this road engine stands as a symbol for what? Unwanted burdens, unwanted troubles that appear valuable at first. Unwanted things sometimes appear valuable at the beginning, okay, in the initial stages, but later on what happens? They become a source of distress, a source of trouble, a source of grief, a source of pain. Okay, it also represents the irony of material possessions that do not bring happiness or utility. And this road engine is also a symbol to tell the people that material possessions don't give us happiness. Okay, they don't provide us with permanent happiness and joy and pleasure and all that. So here it doesn't bring happiness and utility. So in that way, for these two things, this road engine is standing as a symbol. So in this way, you can find some symbolism also in this story, right? And you go to the next point. His efforts to move the engine can symbolize human struggle against overwhelming odds. So in this story, you find that the protagonist will be trying his best to move the big engine from its original place, and his efforts to move the engine symbolize what? Man's struggle against overwhelming odds. Okay, in this world, what is man doing? Man is struggling very hard, I can say, against what? The problems he is every day facing. So the efforts of the protagonist in moving the road engine symbolize that man's struggle against the problems he faces. Okay, so he symbolizes human struggle against overwhelming odds, often leading to frustration rather than success. So in man, what does man do? Man fights against or struggles against certain odds of this world, and sometimes, most of the time, he fails. Only a few times he may get success in his attempts. So here also the protagonist has made all kinds of efforts. He made all kinds of trials in moving that engine from that place to some other place, but all his efforts have ended in smoke. They have become useless, they have become futile. So this symbolizes that man now also is struggling against so many problems of this world, but he is not becoming successful in his attempts. Okay, now that is symbolized here. Okay, and you go to the next literary device. Satire is there. Satire, Vengyamu, something like that. Narayan satirizes the bureaucracy and the people of Malgudi. Okay, that means he criticizes the bureaucracy and the people of Malgudi very gently, okay, very softly. How? The townspeople's unhelpful advice, the high demands of the laborers, the municipal authorities' reaction to the damages caused by the engine, all reflect these three things. You can find the people, the townspeople are unhelpful. Okay, they don't extend help to this protagonist. So the unhelping nature of the townspeople. Okay, and next the high demands of the laborers. Laborers have asked for more, you can say, wages and all that. You know very well. The municipal authorities' reaction to the damages caused by the engine. So this road engine, what happened now? It dashed against a wall and it damaged that public property. And immediately the municipal authorities have demanded for huge losses, heavy money from towards damages and losses. Okay, and all reflect the inefficiencies and absurdities of social and governmental system. So this is all absurd. All these things are very absurd. Absurd means very meaningless. And all these things reflect what? The inefficiencies and absurdities of social and governmental systems. So that's why now he satirizes, okay, satirizes the bureaucracy and the people of Malgudi, right? And you go to the next one. The story satirizes human nature, particularly the tendency to covet things without considering their practical utility. So here what is that now? In this story also you can find the satire, where in the human nature is also satirized. How? Particularly the tendency to covet things without considering the practical utility. So even though you don't need that thing, people start coveting for that. Your house is very small, you need a small car, but you are going for some big car. So you are going for that. That means meaningless. You are coveting for bigger things. So though you don't require such things, else, without considering their practical utility. People buy big washing machines. Why do you require? Yours is a small family. You require a small washing machine. You require a small refrigerator. But people go for a bigger refrigerator, double door refrigerator, a big washing machine, something like that. Big TV. Okay. For that small family, you require only 35 inches or 30 inches TV enough, but you are going for 60 inches, 80 inches of TV. Why? Because you don't consider their practical utility. You simply want the biggest TV, but you don't actually require that. You cannot watch it like this. So it has got its own problems. The protagonist knows only that he has won a lottery. Okay, he has won a prize, but he has not seen its utility. He has not thought about its utility, usefulness. How far it will be useful to him, that he has not thought about. So here, the story satirizes human nature, particularly the tendency. People have this kind of tendency to covet things without considering their practical utility. The protagonist's initial joy winning the engine reflects this common human weakness. So here this protagonist accepts this prize, okay, which he wins in a lottery, but he doesn't think of its utility to him. It's a usefulness to him. And this indicates the human nature. దిస్ ద టెండెన్సీ ఆఫ్ ద హ్యూమన్ బీయింగ్స్. ఇది మానవుల యొక్క సహజమైన ప్రవృత్తి. ఆ వస్తువు కాదు, లాటరీలో వచ్చింది కాబట్టి ఇవ్వమంటున్నావే తప్ప దీనివల్ల నీకు ఏమి ప్రయోజనం అనేది ఎప్పుడైనా ఆలోచిస్తున్నావా? యూ డోంట్ థింక్ ఆఫ్ దట్. యూ వాంట్ ఇట్, దట్స్ ఆల్, బికాస్ యూ హ్యావ్ వన్ దట్ ఇన్ ఏ లాటరీ అండ్ యూ వాంట్ ఇట్, దట్స్ ఆల్. సో దిస్ ఈస్ ద హ్యూమన్ టెండెన్సీ, అండ్ దేర్ ఫోర్ దిస్ R.K. Narayan ఈజ్ satirizing that one. He is satirizing that human nature. Okay, right. And now you go to the other literary devices. Foreshadowing is there. Foreshadowing means hinting at something well beforehand is called foreshadowing. ఒక దాని గురించి ముందే హింట్ ఇస్తూ ఉండడాన్ని, దట్స్ కాల్డ్ foreshadowing. And here you pay attention. Early in the story, Narayan hints at the troubles that the engine will cause. He has given a hint here. Okay. And the protagonist's growing anxiety about what to do with the engine foreshadows the series of unfortunate events that follow. The protagonist's growing anxiety, day by day, the anxiety of this protagonist is growing. And he doesn't know what to do with that engine and how to move that engine from its place. All these things he doesn't know. He has become very anxious. Okay, and all these things are foreshadowing the series of unfortunate events that follow. So earlier this in this story, this writer hints at all those problems with that engine. ఈ ఇంజన్ వల్ల కలిగే ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ ఏమిటో R.K. Narayan ముందే చెప్తుంటాడు. ఇలా ఒక జరగబోయే విషయాల గురించి ముందే ఒక హింట్ ఇవ్వడాన్ని, దట్స్ కాల్డ్ foreshadowing, right? And here next personification is there. What is this personification here? The road engine is almost personified in this story. Road engine is personified here. How? Treated as a character that brings about a series of events. So this road engine has brought to this protagonist so many problems. The way it resists movement and causes destruction. And you know very well, the road engine refuses to move, and it causes destruction and gives it a life of its own. And just like you can say some person who doesn't want to move from his place. So it is just in that way it's personified. కదిలిస్తే కదలదు, దానివల్ల నష్టం కలుగుతుంది. సో it's just like a human being, making it more than just an inanimate object. So it has done all these things just like an animate object. Animate means having life. ప్రాణం ఉన్నదాన్ని animate అంటారు, ప్రాణము లేనిదాన్ని inanimate అంటారు. Though this road engine is an inanimate object, it has done all these things just like an animate object. So therefore in this way we can say this road engine is personified, right? And now we go to other literary devices, and imagery is also there. What is this imagery used here? Narayan uses vivid imagery to describe the engine and the protagonist's struggles. So about the engine, about the protagonist's struggles, he has given beautiful descriptions. Okay, and the detailed description of the engine, the efforts to move it, and the chaos it causes help the reader visualize the scenes, adding to the story's comedic effect. So you can visualize all these things. The protagonist tries his best to move the engine from its place, and the chaos it causes, and the damage that road engine causes. It dashes against the compound wall of some house, and all such things you can visualize, and the entire story you can visualize. That is called therefore the imagery. Allusion is here. Allusion means what? Allusion means reference. So here what kind of reference is given here? The story makes subtle allusions to Indian culture, Indian cultural social context. This story refers to Indian cultural and social context, such as the use of coolies. It is Indian culture. Whenever you need to do some bigger thing, you hire some coolies. That's Indian culture. The mention of the temple elephant. You taking the help of the temple elephant is also will also indicate Indian culture. The public exhibition. This public exhibition is Indian culture. These references ground the story in its Indian setting and layers of meaning. So all these things tell us that this story is entirely set in the Indian culture. Okay. Symbolic characters is there. Ninth one, symbolic characters. The showman who eventually takes the engine off the protagonist's hands can be seen as a symbolic character. symbolic character. When you are in deep troubles, what happens? Somebody will come to help you. So that's in the same way, when this protagonist is in deep troubles caused because of this road engine, this showman comes over there, just like God comes and rescues you, okay, and representing a solution that comes from an unexpected source. When you are in deep troubles, what happens? Somebody will come there and help you. In the same way, when this protagonist is in deep troubles with that road engine, this showman has come there and he has offered his help. So as if he were sent by God himself. Edo Devudu pampichinattuga atadu raavadam. Ivanni generally ga what happens? He also symbolizes the idea that one man's trash is another man's treasure. And he symbolizes one man's trash ఒకడు వద్దనుకుంటున్నటువంటిది ది అనదర్ మ్యాన్స్ ట్రెజర్, ఇంకొకటి సంపద. Whatever you don't want will be some treasure for somebody person. The rubbish you don't want, okay, the garbage you don't want, but that is going to be a kind of treasure for somebody. He is producing some electricity out of garbage and all that. మనం పడేసిన చెత్త మనకు చెత్తనే, మనకు అవసరం లేదు, కానీ ఇంకొకటి తీసుకుపోయి దాంతో అంటే మనము వదిలేసిన ట్రాష్ ఇంకొక ట్రెజర్గా మారుతుంది. What a fun thing. So here this engine that has been a trash for this protagonist has become this showman's treasure. ఈ ప్రొటాగనిస్ట్కు ట్రాష్, చెత్తగా పనికిరాని వస్తువుగా మారినటువంటి ఈ రోడ్ ఇంజన్ వీడికి ఒక యాడెడ్ అట్రాక్షన్గా మారబోతున్నటువంటి ఒక ట్రెజర్గా మారింది. సో దట్స్ వై ఇట్ ఈస్ సింబలైజింగ్ దట్. ఓకే, అండ్ హియర్ యూ గో టు ద నెక్స్ట్ వన్. Paradox is there. Paradox means what? This is the central paradox in the story, that winning the engine in the lottery is in fact a loss. The paradox emphasizes the story's theme that not all gains are beneficial. So it's a paradox. Paradox means what? A contradictory statement. God creates, God destroys. It is the paradoxical nature of God. పుట్టిస్తుంటాడు, గిట్టిస్తుంటాడు, ఒక చేత పుట్టించాడు, ఒక చేత గిట్టి. So this is the paradoxical nature of God. ఒకే దేవుడిలో ఉన్నటువంటి రెండు విభిన్న లక్షణాలు, పారాడాక్స్. సో హియర్ వాట్ ఈస్ దట్? యు ఆర్ విన్నింగ్, యు హ్యావ్ వన్ ఎ లాటరీ. When you win a lottery, what happens? It must give you happiness. But here what happened? It has given you some bad luck and problems and all that. So it's a paradox. This paradox emphasizes the story's theme that not all gains are beneficial. And this tells us that all gains are not beneficial. All things that we win in the life are not beneficial and useful, right? Hyperbole is also there. What is the hyperbole? Narayan uses hyperbole in the reactions of the protagonist and the townspeople to the engine. In the reactions of the protagonist, in the reaction of the townspeople to the engine are hyperbole. Okay, the exaggerated fear, frustration, and chaos surrounding the engine's presence add to the humorous tone of the story. So here the fear of this protagonist is exaggerated. The frustration of this protagonist is exaggerated. The chaos surrounding the engine's presence is also exaggerated. The problems created by this road engine are exaggerated. In that way, what happened now? This Narayan exaggerated all of them. That exaggeration itself is called hyperbole. And in that way, this R.K. Narayan tried his best to make the readers laugh heartily and all that. And the tone here is there. 12th one is the tone. What is this tone? The overall tone of the story is humorous, light-hearted. This is very important. Despite the protagonist's troubles, of course, the protagonist has got so many troubles in the story, but despite all these troubles, this story is very humorous and light-hearted. Narayan's playful tone prevents the story from becoming too serious and dark. And because of Narayan's knack of storytelling, it is not made very serious or dark, but keeping it, he has made it enjoyable and entertaining. Generally, if the protagonist faces all troubles, that must become a serious play. But it has become what? An enjoyable and entertaining play. It is because he has used that trick of storytelling, that knack of storytelling, that skillful knack of storytelling is really fantastic. He has made this story a very humorous and entertaining one, right? So in this way, there are as many as 12 literary devices used in this story. And now let's move on to attempt one exercise on this story. Multiple choice questions on engine trouble and R.K. Narayan. So these multiple choice questions are framed both on the story Engine Trouble and on the writer R.K. Narayan. Okay, yes, I have given you here as many as 25 bits and try to answer all of them. Okay, and at the end of these questions you can find the key also, answer key also. You can check that answer key if at all you cannot answer any of these multiple choice questions. And here I am going to read out the question as well as what the options given. Very quickly I do this, and please follow me very carefully. Right, and here questions on the engine trouble. First I am giving you some questions about as many as 16 or 15 questions on this engine trouble and 10 questions on this writer. And here you pay attention, what does the protagonist win in the lottery? You know that very well. A car, a house, a road engine, a bicycle. And then comes, where does the protagonist attend the public exhibition? Where did he attend that public exhibition? Malgudi, Chennai, Mysore, Bangalore. You know the answer. You can tick the right one. Okay. Now we move on to other questions. Third question. What is the protagonist's initial reaction to winning the engine? What was his reaction? Here you pay attention. Excitement, disappointment, indifference, frustration. You know that very well. You go to the next one. Why does the engine become a burden for the protagonist? Answers. He cannot find a place to store it. He does not know how to operate it. It is too large and difficult to move. It is broken and useless. What is the correct option? You choose it. Okay. We move on to the other questions. Who does the protagonist first hire to move the engine? Coolies or laborers, a mechanic, his friends, a truck driver. You go to the sixth question. What is the reaction of the townspeople to the engine? What was their reaction? Okay, and they admire it, they ridicule the protagonist, they offer to help move it, they ignore it. It's like that. You go to other questions. Which animal does the protagonist try to use to move the engine? A horse, a bullock, a temple elephant, a camel. Okay, you know that. What happens when the protagonist tries to move the engine with the help of the elephant? Okay. Yes, the elephant refuses to move it. The elephant moves it easily. The elephant damages the engine breaks down. You go to other questions. What does the engine eventually do when it is being moved? It rolls down a slope. It crashes into a tree, it catches fire, it stops working completely. You go to the next question. What is it? Who demands compensation for the damage caused by the engine? The police, the municipal authorities, the temple priest, the townspeople. You know that very well. You move on to other questions. How does the protagonist finally get rid of the engine? He sells it to a scrap dealer. He donates it to the temple. A showman takes it off his hands. He abandons it in the forest. You choose the correct answer. Go to the 12th question. What does the showman plan to do with the engine? Use it for transportation, sell it for parts, incorporate it into his show, restore it as a museum piece. Okay, you know that answer. You go to other questions. 13th one. What is the primary theme of Engine Trouble? The clash between tradition and modernity, the burden of unwanted wealth, the struggle for power, the value of hard work. What is the right one? Okay. Which literary device is most prominently used in the story? Allegory, personification, irony, metaphor. You know that very well. You can choose the right one. We now move on to other questions. What lesson can be drawn from the protagonist's experience? What is the moral that we can learn from the protagonist's experiences? Means material possessions always bring happiness. Good fortune can sometimes lead to trouble. It is important to plan before making decisions. Hard work is the key to success. What is the moral we learn from this protagonist's experiences? You know that very well. Okay, and questions on R.K. Narayan. 10 questions are being given on R.K. Narayan, since this is a great writer of this country, and definitely questions may be asked on this writer. So that's why I have framed 10 questions on this writer also. And here you pay attention. In which year was R.K. Narayan born? 1906, 1910, 1895, 1920. You go to other questions. What is the name of the fictional town where most of Narayan's stories are set? Mayapur, Malgudi, Mysore, Mahabalipuram. Which novel by R.K. Narayan features the character Swami? The Guide, The Bachelor of Arts, Swami and Friends, The English Teacher. You know that very well, right? 19th one. Which prestigious Indian award did R.K. Narayan receive for his literary work? Which prestigious Indian award? Okay. Gnanpith Award, Sahitya Academy Award, Padma Shri Award, Man Booker Prize. Okay. What is the central theme of Narayan's novel, The Guide? The power of education, the complexities of human identity, the journey of a spiritual guru, the conflict between love and duty. So here I have mentioned it in the brackets in the introduction. Please, basing on that, I have given this question, so you can easily choose the correct answer. Go to other questions. R.K. Narayan's work is often associated with which literary genre? Magical realism, social realism, romanticism, Gothic fiction. Okay, right. Who was R.K. Narayan's close literary contemporary and friend? Mulk Rajanand, Rabindranath Tagore, Raja Rao, Salman Rushdie. 23rd question. Which of the following is a well-known TV adaptation of R.K. Narayan stories? It's a general question. Malgudi Days, Swami and Friends, The Malgudi Chronicles, Narayan's India. Last but one. In which year did R.K. Narayan pass away? 1995, 2001, 2010, 1989. And you go to the last question. What is a significant characteristic of R.K. Narayan's writing style? Use of complex language. Complex means very difficult language. Focus on grand historical events. Simple, unadorned prose. Emphasis on political commentary. Right. So here these are the 25 questions given on this story and this writer, and try to answer all these questions. If you cannot answer these questions, the answer key is also given here. Yes, answer key is there. For 1 to 12 questions, these are the answers. You go to the next one. What is that? From 13 to 25 questions, these are the answers. Right. And now with this video comes to an end. Dear DSC candidates, thank you so much for watching this video, and if you have any problem in understanding this, you please mention it in the comment section. At the same time, you also express your opinion about the story, because I'm going to upload 3 short stories. All the stories I'm going to upload one by one these days, and after these 4 stories are over, I'm going to upload the video that I am making on the cloud poem written by P.B. Shelley. You know that very well. It is under preparation actually. Right. With another beautiful video, I shall be back to you. Until then, bye. See you, all of you.